live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Art with Ariette bus, currently parked at the beautiful Pick River First Nation. This is where actually the Pick River flows into Lake Superior. And
So let's say that we have a superior campsite right here.
oh my gosh. So we are here to discuss basically where we, what's been happening and where we kind of are, what's to come. We're waiting for everybody to tune in a little bit, but with the replays and everything, it's kind of boring to watch a replay where we're just waiting for people to tune in. So we're just going to keep talking. In the meantime, I will share this over to Facebook and Instagram
Mhm.
to push this out. And yeah, you wanna? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit, and you make sure that everything is going well
Yeah.
with the live streaming. And yeah, go
Cool.
ahead.
All right, I'm gonna make sure we're actually live.
Yeah. So while Cora is checking that everything is going well with the live streaming, I'm gonna start talking a little bit about what the situation is. So we just finished the mural in town. Um, and we were lucky that we finished it right before the weather got kind of crappy for almost a whole week. It was very foggy and humid, so we still have to go and sign the mural, and also we might add a little extra something to the mural. We got some feedback from people in the community. They wanted to see, so the mural is basically a representation, or is inspired by the representation of the seven teachings, which is a very important thing in Native Americans culture, and basically includes seven different animals that represent different things like honesty and courage. So seven of them, and one of the animals that represents this is the buffalo. But in this area, there's no buffalo. So the board that was in charge of approving the mural decided to make it a little more inclusive or more representative of what we have around the area here. So we changed the buffalo for a moose, and another one was uh, Sasquatch. And the original mural mock-up that I did included the whole thing. So Sasquatch sometimes is represented by the entire figure, and sometimes just by a footprint, Bigfoot. Uh, so we changed that to a fish because obviously, being in a land of a lot of lakes and having Lake Superiors and many rivers, there's a lot of fish. So, and there's a lot of people who enjoy going out and fishing. So we included a fish instead of that. But then we got some feedback, and a lot of people started noticing that we did not include Sasquatch. And it seems like everyone was happy with the change of the buffalo for the moose. So after getting a little bit of feedback from the community, then we decided, okay, it's their mural. Let's do it. So we're gonna add the footprint, and that's going to complete the mural. So we should be able to do that in a couple of days, just because we have to paint it and then let the paint dry and come back the next day, put another couple of hours on a second coat. And as you all know, our main plan this summer was to make it to Alaska. And Cora and I, we've been thinking, all right, it's already basically August, and we are still here in Northern Ontario. So are we gonna make it to Alaska while it's still, summer weather? And I'm actually gonna wait for Cora to get back so that we can talk a little bit more on that, because we are at the crossroads where if we make it to Alaska now, we obviously gonna get there when it starts getting cold, which will mean that if we want to enjoy that area, we will have to spend the winter there. And so right now we are kind of excited about maybe doing that, but also that means it will be 6 months over there. We'll basically be indoor, and we're trying to put that in the balance and see if that's something that we actually should be doing or not. in the meantime, we are enjoying people in the community. We have had a lot of dinner parties, and people are so thankful and so happy with the mural that we are just enjoying the company of people where we don't have to be running to go and paint the mural and do this and do that. So it's really, 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 really nice to be able to have some downtime, or not, working 14 hours a day, or trying to figure out the weather and all that. So yesterday we went to see a live band playing, and the city mayor and his wife are super cool. They came to help at the mural. Many, 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 many hours they put on the mural, and they invited us yesterday for dinner at another friend that we made here in town. He's the radio host. He has a radio show in the mornings, and he's been covering the development of the mural. And he had us for dinner at his house, and then we went out to see the show. And then today we're gonna have a dinner party here at the bus with them as well, to thank them for their support. And then we're thinking that in this last week that we're gonna spend here, we're gonna also film for a few uh,
Music
pieces, yeah, a few
videos.
pieces of music videos for Cora, one of Cora's beautiful songs. And then we have to decide within this week what are we gonna do.
Yeah. So the big, big, big question, Alaska. Well, did you kind of explain the reasons or the multiple reasons why everything so far?
No, I did not get into that, so that's the interesting part.
Yeah. So we should be able to see comments that come up here.
I saw a few comments coming in, but I'm not wearing my glasses, so I couldn't read them.
Oh, okay. So Veronica Esparza Paz dice hola desde Perú.
Wow.
Hi.
Hola.
Hola, hola.
Bienvenida.
Yeah. So before we get into Luis está aquí.
Hola, Luis.
Hi. Hola, Luis. Y Trini también.
Oh, nice. Bienvenidos.
So, yeah, so there's been like so many factors that have led to things taking this long. Hey, Dave.
Hi.
Hi. It's multiple, so we're not going to bore you with like all of them, but it's kind of like a combination of things in and out of our control.
Well, I think one of the main key factors that ended up for us thinking that we could finish this project in 3 weeks is like my optimism, which usually gets me in trouble. I'm very optimistic.
Yeah.
And I thought that we could finish this project in 3 weeks, and he actually took double than that.
Yeah.
6 weeks basically.
Yeah.
Part of that also was a few days we couldn't paint because of weather. Prepping the wall. When we first saw the wall, it was on a photo, and on the photo, the wall looks awesome. I mean, besides the fact of being metal, and it's corrugated metal, which is really hard painting anything, going over all these crevices and folds of the wall. Also, we never thought if you make this wall flat, it'll be basically almost twice the size, or at least 1.5 times the size.
Yep.
We're just not thinking. And then the other factor was that the wall had a little bit of rust that we couldn't see on the pictures. And then when you get to the wall, when you are like face to face with the wall, you realize, oh boy, this is gonna need a lot of prep, because then you got to remove the paint that's chipping off, and make sure that the priming gets done well, because that's the most important thing. If you don't do a well job priming a wall, the paint job is gonna fail.
Yeah.
So that took almost an extra week, and then it's just the time it takes on paint. Some colors don't cover well, so you have to do, in some cases, even 4 coats of paint.
Yeah.
But luckily, the community was extremely supportive of this project. I think this is one of the communities that we have witnessed like nonstop support, even by kids passing by saying, "Guys, you're really good at painting. This is looking great." And people stopping by and dropping off coffee and donuts and snacks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
restaurant
sweet.
owners will say, "Hey, sorry, I haven't come to introduce myself, but I got some food for you."
Yeah. So a lot of different things. The wall being more than we anticipated. Us not thinking of certain factors. Weather. There was weather that made each kind of step harder because we had to start and stop. Just a lot of things came together that made it turn into like this a lot longer than we thought. Um, Ajá. La llave que lleva al cuello es la del... Oh.
Ah.
¿Quieres saber si if this is the key to your heart?
Oh yeah, that's la llave de mi corazón.
Yes. Yeah, um really we looked at our timesheet though. I mean, the time that we put in was insane. We were working 15, 16-hour days. We got like 2 days off that we gave to ourselves, but it was like those 2 days off weren't really days off. We did things on those days for other things, and then the time that we weren't like 15-hour days was because it was like raining or whatever. So it was a heck of a job though, and it was a heck of a mural, and we're so proud of it. It's like, and the town loves it.
Yeah,
So
everyone's talking about it, and it's like the big new thing in town because
yeah,
we have this older lady that came, just like, I've lived here for 60 years, and I think this is the best thing that has happened to this town in such a long time. It's huge compliments like that. Kids passing by and saying like, "Wow, this makes me want to consider becoming an artist when I'm
yeah,
older,"
yeah,
which is so sweet.
really sweet.
Yeah.
So now we are at the final day of July. So it's August now, and we're in Northern Ontario. So the big question that's looming for us is, what do we do about this Alaska plan? And so that is the moment. You guys are finding us actually. We don't have an official announcement to give you because we are actually right in the moment of making that decision. So we can share with you the different kind of options on the table and the pros and cons that we see with each of them. So
Yeah, maybe you guys can give us your opinion.
yeah, if you're thinking of if you think of an option that we haven't thought of,
Is that Bea?
is that Bea?
Yeah, hola Bea.
Aha, yeah. Cafecito in the morning and wine at night. Clink. Veronica dice, my husband and I, we are musicians. We love your project, and you're inspiring us a lot.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
Thank you. That's really sweet to hear.
It's good to inspire some people when so many other people have to inspire us. So
well,
really
hopefully our paths will cross when we are in.
Where are they?
Peru.
Peru. Oh, yeah, definitely.
We'll be in Peru at some point in 12 years at this rate. Okay. No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, well, a big part of it has been the pandemic, and another big part of it has been the inflation. We're lucky that the peak of the highest prices in gas, we basically been parked, painting a mural and not driving, because coming here was painful. Every time we stopped to fill up the bus, you were talking about almost $500 to fill our tank, and that's like, ouch. Every time you feel like you're paying rent, every other day, because we're like driving from Montreal straight here, and you're just going and going and going, and you go 300 miles, and then you stop and to refill again, it's paid rent again. You're like, I already paid rent for this month. Wow. Yeah, and food and everything's been expensive as well. So it's like never a dull moment
Yeah.
with the situations. But that's part of being on the road, and we can't stop just because things like this.
Yeah.
And our aim is to obviously to keep going, but we have to make it in a very strategic way for to be efficient.
Yeah.
Not only with time, but also financially.
Yeah. So this is the moment we find ourselves in. The mural is done. We just did a songwriting workshop here for children in this community, which was beautiful. Cannot wait to share the song with you.
It's an awesome song.
All the adults in the room when they were playing, we were all like, it's so beautiful. Just like, ah. So cannot wait to share that with you. Mural's done, workshop is done. We're gonna add this little piece to the mural of the footprint, and then we're just gonna film a couple more places in the area. That's just, this area is just so beautiful. It's like we
Amazing.
can't leave here without having done some filming for a music video, for experimental films, for all that. And then we take off, and so here is option number one. Option number one is that we book it to Alaska. We drive as fast as we can, and we get there to be able to enjoy at least a month of time there. And then we turn right back around and come back down, winter chasing our tail.
Which with gas prices in the vast territory that has to be covered, kind of doesn't make much sense, because then you're not enjoying the journey and spending tons of money in gas. So,
Yeah.
but that's still an option if we didn't want to spend winter over there.
Yeah. So we don't like that idea, because it's like it costs so much money to get to these places, and then to just zoom right by, to not be able to stop and see and enjoy, because chances are we're not going to come back to these places. So here we are, we've spent the money to get there, but we don't have time to stop.
And we don't even have the time to do a workshop or a mural, maybe a couple of workshops, but not a mural,
Yeah, no, we wouldn't be able to do that. And Alaska, the other thing, Alaska is just so beautiful. Like, I've been there, and so, but he hasn't, and I feel like when we get there, you're just gonna be like,
I'm gonna take my camera, and Cora won't see me anymore.
yeah, exactly. He'll be like, oh, he's out in the mountains somewhere. I mean, you're just gonna be like, it would just kill you, and it would kill me to see it killing you, to have to be like, to turn around and go back. It was just, that just would make no sense.
Yeah.
So we're not really partial to that option.
Yeah. So option number two, that arose when we thought about maybe not being able to get there in midsummer, when we start feeling, oh, this mural is gonna take a lot longer. Then the idea started coming of like, what if we flip this idea on his head and just spend winter over there? And the idea has been getting a little bit more. We've been getting more attached to that idea as the day passes, but also we have our doubts. And it is funny that the week that we're talking about this, I mean, like, we're like, whatever, why don't we just spend the winter over there? Let's put the bus in storage once we get there, find a cabin, maybe something similar what we did in Cape Cod, reach out and see if someone there needs house sitting. And just that very same week, a person reached out to us and say, hey guys, I love what you guys are doing. I'm a graphic designer. It'll be cool to collaborate with you. And here's the information for the Art Council in Talkeetna, right? Talkeetna. I can pronounce that very well. And maybe we can collaborate on a mural project there. And then it was like, wow, it's like the universe is sending, signals that maybe we should do that. And then we asked her, like, do you know of someone who might need house sitting, or a place that we can stay in exchange for house sitting? And she said, well, I have a lot of friends that go to warmer weather. And then she said, and I actually have a couple of cabins that I rent during the summer for Airbnb. Maybe we can talk about it. Maybe you guys can stay there in exchange for shoveling snow. But then she sent a picture of the cabin in the winter, and the snow is up to the roof. So
all you see is like there's a little bit of the roof and like a chimney. We're like, that's a lot of snow. But that, all of that was just like very kind of sprinkled ideas. So none of that is, we're not saying that that's actually, we don't want to if you know, if that person watches this, we don't want to make it sound like we're like advertising like this is a done deal. We understand, like, you know.
Yeah.
But the point that we're making is like just by putting that idea out there, it was like immediately the next day, all of a sudden they were like, oh, hey, if that's what you're thinking of doing, here's, you know, all you have to do is just pursue that. And it seems like we could very easily probably find a place to stay.
Yeah.
And so the bigger question with that is like the bus. The biggest worry for me with that idea is the bus, because
Yeah, winter can be really
winter's
hard on the engine parts. Basically, they
yeah.
expand and contract with the extreme weather. We had a bunch of leaks that we didn't have before we parked the bus in Cape Cod, and then we start driving in the winter, and we have all sorts of leaks. They went away, after the bus kind of reacclimatized.
Yeah, when we started driving in the spring, you mean?
In the spring, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like, would that be hard on the engine to do that? Or we could try and find some sort of place where we could store it
indoors, like maybe heated garage or something.
Which would be pricey, but maybe that is stuff we wouldn't have to pay for in dealing with leaks after we bring it out of the winter. The other thing that's in my head too, where I'm like, oh no, we got to take care of the bus engine and make sure, blah, blah, blah. But the thing with this bus is like this whole space is meant to facilitate us to be experiencing amazing places and in experiencing this journey. So, I'm thinking, the bus is not meant to be like a 1,000,000-mile engine that lasts for 20 more years and goes, it's meant to like get us from Alaska to Argentina and then back to Nicaragua where we're going to park it. And it doesn't need to be a 1,000,000-mile engine. And so I think, do we not have amazing experiences just because we want to make sure the engine lasts for way more miles than we're going to need it for? Or do we, understand that, yeah, maybe that'll shorten its life, but it's still going to get us to where we need it to go? It's more just like, if we bring it out of the winter, are we going to have big repairs in Alaska and then Canada and then the States? That's the big, because that's really pricey. So
yeah, and realistically, the idea of going to Alaska in the winter was never a plan. It's just decided that that could be, and actually, it's for most people will be like, "Are you crazy? Spending winter in Alaska?" But if you stay in a house, you have proper heating, it will be an amazing one time in your lifetime experience. Experience the Northern Lights and cross country skiing, snow shoveling.
says the person who didn't grow up in Wisconsin. I'm like, I've shoveled enough snow for all of my lifetime. I've chopped enough wood. I've floated enough fires in the freezing, brutal cold of nighttime. So if you want that experience, I mean...
Well, I'm not super attached to it. The idea is mainly because we've been trying to get to Alaska since we started this project back in 2019. And obviously, then we couldn't do it because we started like around August, like end of August. I think we started our getting on the road around in last week of August. And it was just too crazy to try to make it to Alaska at that time. And then the next year, for next summer, it was COVID. We couldn't cross through Canada. And now 2021, the border was still closed. And now this year that we actually in Canada, we could make it. We get this huge mural project that we couldn't turn down because it was an amazing opportunity, and we're so happy that we did it. But it took longer, and now we are in the same situation. It's August, and we're still too far south. So that leaves us with option number 3.
Yeah. So to recap, Bea is asking, does choosing to spend the winter in Alaska will keep you there until the snow is melted, maybe May? Would you be down for that option?
Well, the idea of being in Alaska will be to be there the entire winter and all the way to midsummer.
Yeah.
Because we obviously want to enjoy the summer, and we don't want to be driving in cold weather with the bus and frozen roads and things like that. So the idea that if we go for option number 2, that will mean that we'll spend 6 months in Alaska, which is a long time. And I mean, no more than 6 months, because it will be like 6 months of the basically like super cold, because it will be from October to April that the bus is gonna be parked in storage, and then we want to enjoy the summer, which is will be from May till mid June or early July. So that's almost nine months over there. That's what is basically kind of lead us to option number 3.
Yeah. So to recap, but before we recap, Dave says rushing doesn't make sense. Hug the coast late fall and it's not as bad. There are electric engine heaters.
Yeah, we already installed one, and we have a block heater.
Yeah, that's true. We could always keep the engine block somewhat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Depending on where we store it. So recap. Option 1 is that we spend a ton of money and rush to get up to Alaska and then rush right back down. And miss a lot of things along the way and break our hearts because we get to see Alaska and then turn right around. Option 2 is we flip this whole thing on its head and say, you know what? This is the 4th attempt at Alaska in the summertime. Maybe we were never meant to go to Alaska in the summertime. We were supposed to go to Alaska in the wintertime. And we do it the opposite way that most people do it. And we experience Alaska in a way that most visitors don't experience Alaska, which would actually be really interesting.
Yeah, because we get to
we're intrigued by that.
We actually get to experience the 4 stations. We get there in the fall, then we get to spend winter, and then we do summer and spring. I mean, spring and summer. So we get to experience the four seasons, which is great, but it sucks a lot of our time.
It does.
Yeah, and which is time that we could be doing, more murals.
Yeah. That's not to say we couldn't do murals throughout our time there. I was just thinking of that, like
indoor murals.
They would be indoor murals, so we could reach out to schools, do a winter arts program or something like that, where we reach out to schools and say, hey, we're gonna do this thing where we do however many murals in Alaska throughout the winter time.
But even indoor murals, if the humidity it fluctuates too much indoors, depending on the heating of the place, it could be also tricky to paint murals indoor.
Yeah.
Based on humidity and the conditions of every building. Most places that are very cold, they don't paint in the winter at all, even if it's indoor.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously we're still in process with all that. So that finally leads to option number 3, which is we enjoy a bit more of our time here in Canada, going in some direction here, and then we dip back down into the United States and make our way down to warmer weather where we do our thing, whether it's murals or music videos or workshops or something else, and just kind of stay in warm weather.
Yeah, doing something that we don't have to leave the bus and stay in a house and park the bus. So keep going with the bus and going through communities, sending proposals for more murals and doing our creative work on the side, and basically be active the entire winter while we wait for the spring to start going up to Alaska. And then that way we can enjoy basically the whole summer there and come back down next year. Yeah. In the fall.
And so that's basically like going down again and going who knows where, following who knows what experiences and opportunities, and then coming back up and doing Alaska next summer. And so the cons with option number 3 are, for one, I just don't believe that there will not be another reason next summer. At this point, I'm like,
Third World War.
It'll be World War III or something. There will be some reason that Alaska is like this unattainable, elusive place for us. There, aliens. I don't know. Something will happen. There will be some reason that Alaska is like out of our reach next summer, or maybe not. Maybe not. The other thing of that is again cost of getting the bus all the way back down to warm weather, and then all the way up to Alaska in the summer. You know, it's like versus us, we're already here in Ontario. It's just with diesel prices, and it all depends on diesel prices, you know, like with diesel prices the way they are, it's basically almost $1 a mile to move this thing right now. So that's no joke. You know, if we go all the way to, he was just checking out like what places in the United States allow, you know, like where you don't have freezing temperatures in the winter, and it was like Arizona.
Arizona,
like,
Southern
all the way to
California, and Florida, and South Carolina, basically.
And it's just like, oof, all right, well, I don't know.
So here's the deal. Cora and I obviously have to make a decision, and we have to find a middle ground and compromise, because I'm more attracted to the idea of heading up to Alaska right now and do the winter and the summer there and come back next year. And Cora is leaning more towards the third option, which is like, let's just slowly go south with the weather, looking for opportunities for murals and do more workshops and things like that. So we need you guys to give you to hear your opinions, to see what it is, and maybe that will help Cora and I find a compromise and do the best option for us.
I mean, we're not really on different sides of the
Well,
coin. I just like jumping from like
well, I'm not
station to station.
right. I'm not 100% opposed to doing option number 3. It's also a really cool idea, but I've been wanting to get to Alaska for a long time. But since Cora already been there and she experienced like a lot of winters in her life, she's like, I'm done with that. So that's where the compromise is, you know. But I think we can't go wrong with either idea. I mean, we can make the best out of both ideas, even though they both have pros and cons.
Well, a part of me really does love the idea of Alaska in the winter, to be honest. Like, part of me is like, I do enjoy the idea of like a cabin, a cozy cabin. And yes, I'm I'm a little nostalgic about chopping wood. That nostalgia will
Go away
disappear
in
in
the
after
first
3
note.
days. But I do, you know, I do love the idea of the Northern Lights, and I love the idea of experiencing Alaska in the winter, which is such a unique experience and not the way that most people do it, which I really like, because I feel like we try and do that with our travel experiences. We try and take the road that is less traveled, you know, and we try and do the thing and kind of flip it on its head. So I kind of like that idea. It's more just like the amount of time it would mean that we're there, and the bus, honestly. It's just like, I worry about the engine. But we had some comments and
All right, let's find out
opinions.
what you guys have to say about this.
Verde por dentro.
Why don't you get the computer closer? Put it on your lap. And...
Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, so Bea is saying, yes, the third option would take better care of the bus, and you could stay active, creating more murals and music. That's interesting, because yes, it could potentially lead to more murals, but probably less music, because I'd probably honestly be able to create more music tucked away in Alaska, with just a space where we're able to producing. Yeah, it's tough. It's a lot more tough for me to do music on the road when I have to take up the studio gear and take it down and all that.
Yeah, because murals take so much logistic, and basically Cora is the the person who pull all the string to put everything together, you know, and organizing and everything. And basically, what I do is spend a week or 2 weeks designing the mural, and while I'm doing that, Cora is like full time communicating with the sponsors or if it's a free mural, communicating with the organizers and organizing the volunteers. And then when the time comes to have volunteers, Cora is in charge of, making sure the people have their brushes and telling them where they're gonna paint their thing, and I'm just there,
Painting.
paint,
You
no
get to paint.
painting, but also if it's a big mural like this, I'm up on the lift because
Yeah.
we cannot have volunteers up. So if I don't go up to start doing that, then I end up painting by myself. Um, for the rest of the mural once everything down is done.
Yeah.
So Cora basically becomes the person that is indispensable for the mural. So that means you will have to push your music aside.
Yeah. But Bea made a clarifying point. She said by music she means maybe more concerts.
Mm-hmm.
And that is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Though, I mean, concerts are something I could do in Alaska in the winter time. I'm sure there's many, like, cafes and businesses that
So
stay open and
more indoor
enjoy
activities. Yeah.
having, indoor concerts to help keep people happy during the long winter. But it would be, logistically getting there and everything. And she says not at the same time of the murals, of course. Yeah. And Veronica is saying is between option 2 and 3, but not quite sure which decision would be the best. Dave says it's a really tough call. Constantly moving is also hard on the bus, too.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. Yeah, I
I mean,
think
that's a lot of extra miles
it's
on
a
the
hard.
bus.
It is a hard
to
thing
go all the way
because
down.
when we move, depending where the murals are, like for example, from Montreal here was a long haul, so where the bus is constantly driving for 10 hours, which could be good, but then you park for a whole month and then you're not using the bus, at all because we have the car to get around, which also could be hard on the engine being parked for a long time. So yeah, I mean that's something that is just part of the logistics and always be hard, um, one way or another. Like for example, let's say we get a mural and we had to go from here to California, let's say to around San Francisco area. Then we had to hold, there nonstop to get there. And then if the project takes a month, then the bus is parked for a whole month. So yeah, Dave is right. I mean, it's a tough call.
Yeah, it is a tough call. The other thing I think of, like, what if we were to go down south and we spend some time in Florida and get to spend time with your family, or I don't know. The other wild card in the mix of all this, guys, is the car. Sancho, our dear Sancho the Prius, who has lived years longer than we expected. We never expected this car to live this long. Still with us, still running. But at this point in time, it's really become ridiculous that we are driving 2 separate vehicles. And we would tow it, but a Prius, unbelievably, cannot be flat towed. It has to be put on a dolly, or it has to be put on, like, a trailer. And that is kind of a deal breaker for us, because to have a dolly system attached to the back of the bus,
which are not cheap, even used,
it's not just the price of it, it's also the logistics of parking the bus, having a tail on it like that. He does parallel parking more than you can ever believe. Like the maneuvering that we have to do with this bus to get into beautiful places like this, we just cannot do that with the trailer attached to the back of the bus. So the car has to be driven separately. And at this point in time, especially with gas prices, it's just like, it's time. We have to, we think we have to say goodbye to Sanchito. But if we do that, then we're also wanting to
replace it
with a vehicle that can be flat towed, and a vehicle that could even kind of be our forever vehicle that we take all the way down to Argentina. That's like our hardcore climbing mountains vehicle that can get us to places.
And we could actually go. Yeah, and we could actually do without a car. I mean, we did that for almost 9 months when we started. But it's not just that we got used to it, but we know how helpful it is to have an extra set of wheels and not having to move your house every single time you need to go to the store, or when Cora wants to go and capture some recordings and maybe I'm editing photos over here, then either my time has to go with Cora and all I'm doing is driving, not being productive, and vice versa. Like Cora is recording in the studio, have everything set up, and then I want to drive 20 miles to go and shoot a time lapse or photography, then Cora has to come with me, and then it takes about 30 minutes to get everything ready to be moved. So there's a lot of waste of time.
Yeah.
But if we get a car, a 4x4 car that we can pull flat and it can be detached at any point, it will be ideal.
Yeah. And it's not just the convenience of productivity, it's like places that we can get to. So Here We Listen, for instance, the Here We Listen music video would not have been possible without the Prius.
Yeah.
Um,
The place the Bea took us in her van, like it would be really hard to get there with the
we
bus.
couldn't have got there with the bus. We couldn't have gotten. There's so many of those locations that just we needed the car to reach those shooting locations. And so, we're going to be traveling through all of these countries, and we're probably never going to go back to most of the places that we visit. We want to be able to see the things that we want to be able to go and see and not be limited by where the house can go. So we're looking at like, well, if we go to Alaska, then if we head to Alaska right now, we can't be driving both vehicles. So that means we're going to have to sell Sancho, which we could do in Minnesota. And then we're like, but then we won't have a car in Alaska, which we will need because the bus is going to be put to sleep. So we need to then look at getting the vehicle, but then we get it in Minnesota and then spend basically gas that would be like the cost of the tow system to get to, we're like, or we just get to Alaska and then we purchase another vehicle there. But that involves looking at the prices of used cars, and as Dave has mentioned, used car prices are nuts in the US. Nuts!
You could
not so crazy sauce.
You could find. I was looking at cars between the range of between $5,000 and $10,000, and every single car that is in that price range is car that is 15 years or older, and they have close to 200,000 miles, between 150 and 200,000 miles. So, which you really want to get a car for $10,000 with 200,000 miles on it, So
yeah. So these are all the kind of palomitas, popcorns. All the popcorns are in the air. They're like whoop, and we're like, which one should we grab? These are all the things that are up in the air, and you've caught us really at the time where we're discussing and figuring all this out. Veronica says, all in all, I would say option 2. Still sounds good to me.
Alaska?
Yeah, Alaska in the winter.
So how many people we have online? So right now we have 7 people watching this live stream. How about we get
Actually, this, I think me watching here, me having the computer here counts as 1. So we actually have 6. We have, so like we could like.
If you guys can type 1, 2, or 3, then we'll count them and see what the majority says.
Yeah, so type in the comments option 1 or option 2 or option 3. I'm going to tally these.
I don't think anyone's going to go for option 1. Option 1 is kind of
Option 1 is ridiculous.
This shouldn't even be an option.
I'm still going to write it down though.
All right. All right, guys, we're waiting for your answers.
Should we do option 1? Should we do option 2? Or should we do option 3? Oh, quick summary. Okay. Option number 1 is we drive to Alaska as fast as we can. We spend a month there, and then we turn right back around and drive all the way down to warm weather, probably like Southern California. And to give you a rough idea, that would cost probably somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000. So option 2 is we drive to Alaska and we spend the winter in Alaska. And then we come back down sometime summer. Late summer next year. Option 3 is we don't go to Alaska. We go south. We spend the winter south, somewhere in the United States, and then we try to do Alaska next summer.
So those are the 3 options.
Those are the 3 options. Bea votes for option 3.
All right.
Okay, that's one vote. Option 1, we go to Alaska, come back down, super fast. Option 2, we go to Alaska and we stay over the winter. Dave votes for number 2.
All right.
Option 3, we just go south right now. And
Luis wants a resumen
en
en
español.
español. Se lo voy a dar rapidito. Luis, aquí está el resumen. Estamos tratando de tomar la decisión que hacemos ahora que terminamos con el mural aquí en Ontario. So, la opción número 1 es irnos rápido a Alaska y bajar antes que se empiece a poner muy frío, pero tiene que ser rápido, no nos va a dar mucho tiempo de disfrutar la ruta. La opción número 2 sería irnos para Alaska ahorita, tomar nuestro tiempo, llegar alrededor del otoño, pasar todo el invierno y básicamente todo el verano, el próximo verano en Alaska, y bajar el próximo año. La opción número 3 es irnos para el sur de Estados Unidos ahorita, siguiendo el clima más cálido y hacer más proyectos de murales en exteriores y tratar de ir a Alaska el próximo año en el verano. Esas son básicamente las 3 opciones. ¿Qué piensan ustedes? Y, tendrían que ser 2 votos, el voto tuyo, Luis, y el de Trini.
Okay, Veronica votes number 2.
Okay.
Okay, so we have Bea's vote, we have Dave's vote, we have Veronica's vote. I wonder, should we vote? I don't want to vote.
No, because well, I mean, I guess we could.
But I don't know what I want to vote for.
Awesome.
That's the problem.
You can't vote for all of them. You have to choose one.
You know what? While we're waiting for the votes to come in, I'm going to make a little song about this situation.
You're gonna write a song on the spot?
I'm going to write a song on the spot.
All right, Cora's in songwriting mode. All right, let's see if we have another vote here. Estamos esperando el voto de Luis y Trini. So, por ahora la opción es opción número 2. A hard decision. Listen. Right.
Uy, Dios mío. I'm knocking things over. Luis, dice algo.
Ok, Luis, Trini, opción 3. Ok, opción 3. Tiene más votos, 2 votos para la opción número 3.
So now option 3 is pulling ahead.
Yep.
We have 2 votes for option 2 and 3 votes for option 3.
How does it go?
And so we're stuck making a decision. We're trying to get somewhere we've been trying to get for 4 years now. And we don't know which way to point the house. No, we don't know which way to point the house. We need your help to figure it out. We got option 1, we could spend a butt ton of money to get to a place that is like the land of milk and honey, and just have to turn back around again.
You gotta throw some Spanish in there.
Huh?
You gotta throw some Spanish in there.
Oh my gosh. Y también tenemos opción 2, que sería de quedarnos en un lugar con un frío brutal. Pero también muy bonito. Con mucha soledad. So that's option 2. Or option 3 is to do what we've been doing for 3 damn years now. Hoping that next summer it'll be different. But next summer, will it really be different? 'Cause with our luck, next summer it'll be World War III, or aliens will come down and stop the world at its feet, and who knows, it'll be something else.
Right, so Bea says she has a question for the two of us. If you visualize yourself in each situation, which one makes you feel with more peace and brings a smile?
That's a good question.
Yeah. You want to answer first?
I have to visualize myself.
You know, for me, to be honest, I think I'll be happy either way. It's this decision is, I think for me, is one of the easiest decisions to make, because I feel like if we go and spend the winter in Alaska, or we go and travel more around the U.S., it still will feel joy. The only downside that sometimes I might feel a little bit kind of sad about is like having that feeling of not achieving getting to Alaska if we decide to go for option number 3, uh, which it's like what Cora was saying. It was start making feel Alaska like unattainable for us, like we can't make it there. But I know that eventually we will make it there. But it stretches everything, and probably a lot of people that follow us might be feeling kind of like, well, you guys said you're gonna go to Alaska from Argentina, and like you've been 4 years on a row.
Claudia
what
said
happened to
that
plan?
last time we talked to her. She's like, I feel like you guys have been talking about Alaska forever.
Yeah,
like, we have.
but everything is circumstantial, and I mean, to be honest, this is not it's like a first world problem. You know, oh, do I choose good or great? You know, or both great. You know, both good options.
Dave is saying, do you think you can find projects and move around in Alaska enough without going nuts?
I think something that will help me in that sense is the fact that I know that I'm not stuck in Alaska. That it's just one time, and then you're done with it. You did it. You survived a winter in Alaska. Either you enjoy it or not. Whatever the situation is, it's just another story to tell at the end of the journey. And I think it will be difficult. I'm not fantasizing there's gonna be this winter wonderland. It's, it's gonna be hard in some days, and some days are gonna be better. Especially the darkness. We love the outdoors and the light, and I think probably get a little depressed sometimes of being just in the computer in the dark. But like I said, something that can help us go through that is the fact that knowing that summer is around the corner, summer is around the corner, and then when that happens, we're out, and we don't have to experience that ever again, or maybe until we get to Argentina. So Luis says, cualquier decisión será buena porque encima de todo está presente siempre vuestro amor como pareja. Caminante, no hay camino, se hace camino al andar. Me encanta lo que Luis describió aquí, y está en lo cierto. Y sí, y comparto la misma opinión. So Luis says, whatever decision you make will be a good decision because we have each other. We have our love, each other, and we'll be together. And let me see if I can translate this. This is like, for a traveler, there's no way. You made the way as you go. Something like that, which is beautiful, beautiful, poetic. And it's true.
I think I've been trying to imagine myself with what Bea was saying, which one makes feel more safe and more peaceful.
Yeah.
I think if we found a good spot for the bus in Alaska, it's just then there's the issue of the car and having to get a car there and all of that. Those are the wild cards that then.
Yeah, because we need
they're not wild cards. They'll work out.
We need a good car to get around the snow too.
With so we'll Prius, have to go through that.
With the Prius, even having the snow tires, the clearance is just too low. If we get a big storm, we'll be stuck. We won't be able to move. And with a 4x4 car that has higher clearance, we'll be able to. But that means that we'll have to get a car there. So I think this might come down to almost like a coin flip in the situation. So here's the thing: the person that contacted us from Alaska, uh, which we potentially might be able to stay in her on one of her Airbnb cabins in exchange for shoveling snow, um, gave us the contact for the arts council there. Cora, a couple of weeks ago, I think, right? You sent them an email, or about a week ago, you sent them an email about if there's a possibility to do a project, and they haven't gotten back to us. But just 2 days ago, 3 days ago, we got another email from a person that we actually met in Idaho when we painted a mural in Drake's, and it seems there's a big hangar airplane, a big airplane hangar there that they're considering painting a mural there, and they contacted us to see if we'll be interested. After they saw that we're painting a big metal building, they think, well, these guys know what they do, they know what they're doing when painting metal buildings. They might be the right people to paint something on this building, but that's not set in stone. But it's a good opportunity because it's a big project, and that'll be potentially a pay gig, which can help us make a little bit of money to move the bus and to perhaps put some money aside for a car. But all of that is still up in the air, and also it's an outdoor mural that needs to. If that happens, it needs to happen in
No.
no now before it gets cold, because we got caught in a winter storm basically finishing up that mural over there in Drake's.
Yeah.
But the project in Alaska is uncertain, and the project in Drake's is uncertain, and we not to opportunities because in times like this especially, uh, you can say no to opportunities that can help us, and also that do good to communities. So it might come down to that. Hopefully we hear from a confirmation from either side, and I think we might have to go with whatever happens. If the people in Alaska contact us first and say, hey, yeah, we have this wall, if you guys get over here early enough to be able to finish this project this year, let's make it happen. Then we probably have to be heading that way. And if a week after that we hear from Idaho, we'll say, well, sorry guys, we already took this job here, so we were waiting, and we can make it happen next year if you guys still want to do it.
So yeah, like maybe the decision could be easily made just by like a random
Yeah.
email or message coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Philip is here. Hi. Veronica says it sounds like a coin flip decision. Maybe we should flip a coin.
Yeah, and I mean, I think in all
Um,
honesty, at least for me, I don't think either one or number two will be so bad. They both have the pros and cons, but it's not like, oh my god, like we made the wrong decision.
yeah, it's not. It's
Yeah.
because you can't know. Um, so yeah, Philip is saying, yeah, whomever is able to give us more certainty sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're just kind of
I,
there's a lot there. Yeah.
I think the decision has to be made within 2 weeks, which is I think is more than enough time for either one side of the options to contact us and say, hey, yes or no. So the email was sent to the project in Alaska about 2 weeks ago. So you give it, yeah, week and a half
But
maybe.
that's just like one.
Yeah,
The
and
thing
then
is, like, we can paint a mural anywhere. It's just, are we going to do it in collaboration?
right.
We always paint murals. The question is there going to be like a sponsor, or is there going to be collaboration with it? And that's like the secondary part. It's like we always know wherever we're going to go, we'll paint a mural. Yeah, but will it help keep us going? Is always the question. But bueno, who knows? you guys have actually helped a lot. You guys are, you know, brought some good points to the table.
For consideration.
And
Yeah.
our voting, how did it end up? We had, did any other votes come in?
Option number 3 is more.
Option number 3 got 3 votes, and option number 2 got 2 votes.
But she didn't vote, and someone else came in.
Philip, would you like to vote on this? So here's option number 1 is we drive super fast to Alaska right now, spend a butt ton of money to get there, and then turn around in like a month and have to come all the way back down and kind of spend a lot of money to not get to experience it very well. We're not partial to that one. But, option number 2 is we start driving towards Alaska now. We go slow, we enjoy the scenery. We get up there in like the late fall, and then we park the bus in storage and find a cabin to stay in, and we flip this whole thing on its head, and instead of doing Alaska in the summer, we do Alaska in the winter.
In summer, because we're still gonna do the summer.
Then next spring we stay there and we experience Alaskan spring, we experience Alaskan summer, and then we come down, back down into Canada and the States. That's option number 2. Option number 3 is we enjoy a little bit more of our time in Canada now, and then we come back down into the States, go to warm weather at the very bottom of the States, drive all the way down there, and spend the winter in only warm places at the very bottom of the States, and then try and make it to Alaska next summer. And that would be our 5th attempt.
You know, the idea of doing option number 3 is that we'll be more active when it comes to painting murals in warmer weather.
Yeah, hopefully we'd be finding stuff to do throughout the winter months in warmer places, and then shoot for Alaska again next summer, and hope that the apocalypse does not prevent it.
What is that?
Oh, yeah. We're going to. So
Miranda here said miss the options.
But that's
okay,
what I just explained.
Right, okay.
This is Philip.
Okay.
So option 1, option 2, or option 3? What do you think? Option 2.
Just a tie.
Well, no, I don't know if that was a vote. 2 sounds like you can finally get to Alaska. Yeah, 2 is basically us being like, we are determined, we're going to get there. And if that means spending the winter there, then we're going to spend the winter there. Period. And we're not going to keep waiting for all this,
We're going for the stars to align.
Yeah, we're just going to do it. Okay, Philip says 2.
All right, so
Ooh,
I think it's a tie.
now we're on a tie, which means we're gonna have to be the tiebreakers, which is no bueno. Ay, ay, ay.
So we got 7 votes, right?
We got 6 votes.
6.
3 for 2 and 3 for 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we can make it work money wise.
Wonderful. It's a tie.
All right. Well, it's a tie. Let's just flip a coin just for fun. And see, but not. This is not going to be the decision making coin flip.
Just for fun.
I'm just curious to see what.
Let me find a coin.
They're in the.
I think I have a Canadian quarter.
You have a Canadian quarter.
What are they called?
No, the Canadian dollar is called a loonie.
What are they called? This
is so cool, guys. I learned this here in Canada. This is the $1 coin in Canada, and you can see it has a loon on the back, so they call it a loonie. I learned this because I went to the bank and I was like, can I get a roll of dollar coins? And they're like, loonies? And I was like, what? Loony? I was like, are you calling me loony? They're like, loonies, you want loonies? And I was like, I want dollar coins. If a dollar coin is a loony, then yes, I want loonies. And she was like, they cracked up. They're like, yes, you want loonies.
What about the toonies?
Oh, well, and then our friend Wendy was like, well, you know, when I told her that, I was like, I didn't know they're called loonies. She goes, well, you know what we call the $2 coins in Canada? And I was like, what? She goes, toonies. I was like, I love you people. So this is a loonie. So we're going to flip the loonie. Jamie said number 3.
It's breaking the tie.
Jamie just broke the tie.
That's because Jamie wanted to see you.
3 over 2. Verde por dentro, vea, says, have you made the maths for each option taking into account expenses and potential income? because that is
point.
also a big decision factor for us and the
Absolutely.
low budget travelers.
Yeah.
And Philip says you've done 3 a few times and maybe 2 would be a new experience.
Yeah.
But I'd hope you can make it work expense wise, and 3 sounds like more opportunities for work.
Yeah.
Potentially. But that's the thing, guys. Things can go other ways. It's like so many of we never can plan our opportunities. Like we can go out and be proactive, and we do. But we have learned that some of the absolute best opportunities have been absolutely random and in ways that we never had imagined.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised if going to Alaska and being there in the winter actually led to
Amazing
crazy opportunities, amazing opportunities. I wouldn't be surprised at all. We might experience more opportunities there in that setting than if we do the southern route and stay in warmer weather in the States, and it kind of experience all the places we've already kind of done. So we tend to, I think the pattern that has started to ring true with us is that more opportunities and crazy stuff happens for us when we make the ballsy move. You know, when we do like the thing that makes less sense, and we do the thing that is like crazy, like why would you do that? That is when like really incredible things start to happen for us. So I wouldn't want to make the decision purely based off of what it looks like we might make, or what it, you know, it's like, I just have no doubt that it's like, either way, it's like opportunities
it's like we can't play it too safe, but also we can't go just too crazy. So it's just finding a middle ground. Yeah. It's ideal.
Winter could help you make more connections there, fewer tourists, and more tied to the locals. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, well, guys, it's past 1 o'clock, and we actually have to move this bus from where it's parked right now back into town. And then this guy here has got a huge dinner party to prepare for tonight. Yep. So we
you want to flip the coin just for fun?
Yeah, I want to flip the coin. But just for fun. Jamie says yeah, she likes number 2 as well, because it's always good to take a pause. Yes. I mean, like, you guys may think, like, but didn't you guys just take a pause? And it's like,
It wasn't really a pause.
It wasn't really a pause. Yeah. So another number 2 vote. So I feel like Jamie's kind of like split her vote between 3 and 2. So yes. Let's just for fun, let's flip the coin.
Right. So which one is gonna be Alaska? The loony?
Okay. Well, we've got Queen Elizabeth herself. Right. Well, she's queen. She's Queen Elizabeth II.
Okay.
So maybe she should count as number 2.
Which is Alaska winter. Alaska in the winter.
Yeah. So Queen Elizabeth, the lady herself, shall be Alaska in the wintertime.
Okay.
Very chill, calm.
And the loon is going
south.
And
the loon is going south.
Yeah. Snowbird.
Snowbird! Going south. You want to make the honors?
What about you throw it in the air and I catch it and then I...
Okay. Here we go, guys.
Ta-da! Drum roll.
Alaska in the winter, says Queen Elizabeth.
And as you know, you got to listen to the Queen.
Yeah, she means business. All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. That's not our final decision, of course. We still have to do some private powwow and number crunching and all of that, but we appreciate, yeah, Jesus, the Queen has spoken. Yes, the Queen has spoken. We appreciate you guys tuning in with us and hearing all of our options and chiming in
and being part of this crossroad decision making. You know, it's good to kind of, you know, talk about it publicly and get, you know, you guys' views.
Yeah.
Hopefully that will make us help make a decision, and whatever that decision might be, hopefully a great experience, which I don't doubt.
Yeah. Either way, there's every single pathway leads to a blossoming of people and experiences, and so whichever pathway we take, we know that it will be blessed and surrounded and just enriched by whoever we cross paths with on that path. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
We're going to clean up this beautiful bus.
Yep.
And get her ready for the rest of the day. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you watch the replay of this and you want to vote, feel free, because chances are we're not going to have this decision made within the next 2 or 3 days. We're still going to be hashing it out.
It's
so
gonna take us at least a week or maybe the next 2 weeks. So
I
we still
feel
have
like as we're driving to
we still
Thunder
have a week of driving west before we divert, because right now we are at the very tip of Lake Superior, so we still have to drive
we still have
west.
to drive here. So once we reach this point, that's when we have to decide, literally, like this way or this way. So if you see the replay of this, shout out your opinions and give us a vote and let us know what you think, and we would love to hear.
Yeah, and thanks again for joining us on this beautiful Sunday here.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are not burning and with the weather. We know it's been really hot in most places around the world. We're lucky that we're here and it's always cold, but I know it's not the same. So stay cool.
Stay cool.
Drink a lot of water. And
stay
be safe.
hydrated.
Yep.
All right. We love you guys.
Love you guys. See you next Sunday, hopefully.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll have a YouTube video.
Another video.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's see if I can figure out how to turn off the live stream. Are you sure you want to end stuff? Yes, please. Okay, bye guys.